Welcome to State of the Arts, a show where we talk about the hot topics in arts, entertainment, and culture, but we do it all with a Canadian edge.
Hey.
I'm Amanda Parris, the host of a bunch of shows on CBC Television and CBC Radio, columnist, playwright, and future BFF of Solange Knowles. I am joined by two homies and colleagues. First up is Peter Knegt, senior writer, producer of the hit digital series Canada's a Drag, and viral conspiracy theorist extraordinaire.
Whoop, whoop. That's a now officially failed conspiracy theorist, but yes, Whoopi did not host the Oscars.
She did not, and hopefully she's actually healthy and well and getting better.
I do wish her the best. Now that this is all over, I feel a little bad.
It's okay. We didn't know. And we also have Romeo Candido, senior producer at CBC Arts, filmmaker, musician, and future Filipino-Canadian Jordan Peele.
I want to be the other guy because I don't want to.
You want to be Key?
Yeah, I don't. My ambitions aren't that high.
He has a lot of ambitions.
Yeah, I know, and a failed show by school.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right, so let's get to our first topic, which is the Oscars.
Oh yeah, I want to thank the Academy for recognizing a film centered around an indigenous woman, one of the 70 million domestic workers in the world without work rights. A character that historically had been relegated in the background in cinema. As artists, our job is to look where others don't. This responsibility becomes much more important in times when we are being encouraged to look away.
You just heard Alfonso Cuarón during his acceptance speech for Best Director. I love that quote, "It is the job of artists to look in the places that other people don't."
And it's the job of the Academy to vote for a Best Picture that nobody wants to be Best Picture.
Okay, calm down. Let's start with the nice stuff. We'll get to the not so great stuff later.
All right.
I want to know what was the best thing that happened last night. Peter, you go first.
I mean, so many great things happened last night, which is why it's so awful that that film won Best Picture. There were just so many incredible speeches. There was the diversity of the winners was extraordinary. Olivia Colman. I've rewatched that speech already 100 times today.
It's so good.
It's so good. I mean, with all due respect to Glenn Close, who I do feel bad for, but still.
One of the first viral conspiracies was you putting a picture up on Twitter with Glenn Close looking at Lady Gaga menacingly.
She was bewitching the wrong competitor.
It was the wrong person. We thought it was going to be against those two, but it was Olivia who came through. And you know what? She's been so charming throughout the whole award season. All of her speeches have been so amazing. I think people just fell in love with her.
It was the best performance.
Yeah.
She's incredible in that movie. And she also, it's so rare this day and age because these award seasons, it's almost like we just know who's going to win. To watch someone give a speech that was so sincerely, she was so sincerely shocked that she won. It was lovely.
But you know how sometimes people are so shocked and it's like annoying shocked? It's like relax with the shockness. Like you prepped a little bit.
You try to police people's shockness?
I am trying to.
But hers was not that.
Shame.
But hers was not that.
No. Hers
was super
because
cute.
there's an accent, so it's cuter.
And also she was like, then my husband, my dear husband, and then made fun of him because she saw that he was about to cry.
Right. Oh, yeah, that was good. I would do the same thing.
Okay, what was your best part of the night, Romeo?
Oh, Spike Lee all day. Spike Lee wearing a Prince thing.
So
Spike Lee
good.
wearing Love-Hate on his hands. Spike Lee, Samuel Jackson giving Spike the award. And
Spike Lee jumping on Samuel
Jumping
Jackson.
up on him.
kind of like, brotherhood.
It was amazing. That was such a great night. The place where I was in, all of us got up and started screaming and yelling as soon as Spike Lee's name was announced. It feels so overdue, so great. It's so beautiful to watch somebody that you know has been deserving finally get it.
30 years, right?
And his hands were shaking when he was reading his speech.
Cute.
Yeah, very cute. Okay, so for me, it would be the fact that history was made so many times yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So we had Ruth E. Carter finally winning costume designer, the best costume design award. She is a legend in the game.
Yep.
She's been making costumes for some of the most iconic films, from School Days to Malcolm X. I heard she also did the pilot episode of Seinfeld. Like she has been in the she's been in the game for a really long time. Then you had Hannah Beachler, first Black woman ever to be nominated, and then also to win Best Production Design for Black Panther. Both of them were for Black Panther.
I retweeted your interview with her.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. But yeah, Hannah Beachler creates worlds, incredible, imaginary, huge worlds. She also did Moonlight and Fruitvale Station and Beyonce's Lemonade, another legend in the game.
But do you know what is so crazy is those two women became only the second and third Black women to win an Oscar outside of Best Actress or an acting category. Sorry,
That's insane.
I Irene Cara is the only other winner for. She wrote the song "Oh What a Feeling" from Flashdance in 1983. That is
I wasn't
disgusting.
born for that.
That it's only 3.
Flashdance.
Only 3, and 2 of them were last night.
2 of them were last night.
That is definitely saying something, because we already know that excellence has been there, and the opportunity to nominate.
First there was. Okay, never mind. We don't have rights.
For that,
Okay.
Romeo. And then the other history that was made was Mahershala Ali became, I think, the first Black actor to win 2 Best Supporting Actor trophies as well too. So
You know what? People diss him, or people are not feeling him so much.
I don't think that people are not feeling him. They might not be feeling the role, because
Well,
I
he
think
should
the
have
love
won
for
Best
Mahershala.
Supporting for Spider-Verse. Anyways.
Let's just pretend he did.
Yeah, we'll just pretend. Or he won for Moonlight again. Yeah.
Laura, my things that... No, we're good? Okay, just joking. Anyways.
The other thing that happened is that women swept the shorts categories.
Hey.
Women won for best documentary short, best animated short, best live action short. It was just like a feast of women up there. Feast is a horrible word. I should not say that word. But it was just an incredible array, an incredible array of women coming to the mic in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before at the Oscars.
I mean, I think that this. I don't know if I have the stat, but the most women ever won last night.
I would believe it. And if it wasn't the case, I want to know what was the year where they won more, because I've never seen that. And for sure, the most diverse women.
Absolutely.
And let's just say that it was, so we look like professionals.
I'm almost positive it was. I forgot to Google that before we did this.
But you know what? I found that the speeches from the shorts, the winning speeches, were as potent, if not more potent and more relevant than the longer.
The shorts and the crafts, like, I couldn't believe that this was the year they thought they weren't going to televise some of these categories, because I was like, I actually really needed to see these moments. These moments actually meant more to me than some of the bigger categories.
Yeah, and God love the makeup people, but you know.
I mean, that
they
was out of the night. I could have been okay with that being in a commercial break, but everything else, like those speeches, because here's the thing, like the actors, they've done this so many times already. They did the Golden Globes. The Golden Globes don't have an animated short or cinematography, and we got to see some of the speeches were so good.
They were. They really were. Okay, so we talked about the great stuff. Let's talk about the not so great stuff.
Oh, no.
I feel like we're all going to say what the worst thing of the night was. So why don't we just say it all at the same time on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3.
Green.
Not enough
book.
Maya Rudolph.
What?
Why am I this guy?
Did you say not enough Maya Rudolph?
Yeah, not enough Maya Rudolph.
I mean, yes.
I loved her, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler.
Agreed.
It's like the new, what's the mountain with the presidents on
Rushmore.
Rushmore. So it's like the
It was
comedic
excellent. Amazing way to start. Amazing, but that's not what we were saying.
Green
It was
Book.
Green Book won Best Picture. And
Okay.
I think, Amanda, we share this. Even more
Best
offensive.
original screenplay.
Oh, it is such an awful
That
screenplay.
hurts me my soul.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you know, I hate to call things the worst, and like, you know, as artists,
just
we're all
live that
artists. We're
life.
trying to, you know, create in this world, but that screenplay is not original. It felt like something that, like, as I was watching the movie, I was like, now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen. I was predicting everything that was about to happen. And I'm not, like, I have no special powers. I'm not a psychic, but it's because I've seen this movie before. It's so cookie cutter.
And now that man who wrote the screenplay, who's Nick
Vallelonga.
I don't care if I mess up his name. He now has 2 Academy Awards. That is 2 more than Glenn Close and 1 more than Martin Scorsese, for example.
Ew.
This
One more than Spike Lee.
1 more than Spike Lee.
And and this is us just talking about the fact that we don't appreciate the craft. We're not even talking about the scandal. We're not even talking about all of these things. So let's break down why we're upset that it won. So number 1, forget the drama and the politics. It's just not a great movie. The screenplay is predictable, unoriginal. Number 2, it's not of this time. It would have been good maybe in 1988. I don't even think in the 90s.
I mean, I don't think it would have been good ever.
I don't.
But it would have been more like it's Driving Miss Daisy. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah, it feels like that it's for that audience. Number 3, it's a white savior film, meaning even though it was supposedly about this incredibly accomplished black pianist named Don Shirley who was touring through the South, it was all told through the gaze of a white man who saves, and I'm putting big quotation marks around that, saves Don at least 3 times in the movie. Number 4, it had nothing.
Mahershala could handle himself in
Mahershala could, and I'm sure Don Shirley has had to handle himself and did handle himself long before he met Tony Lip. Number 4.
It is Aragon, though.
Number 4, it had nothing to do with the actual Green Book, which was a resource used by African Americans to travel through the segregated South, which none of the creators that won for the movie decided to mention or talk about in any of their speeches.
Boo.
And number 5, the people who made the film never consulted the Don Shirley family or got their acceptance and okay with it. They say, Nick claims that he did speak to Don Shirley himself before he passed, but he passed, so we have no idea how he feels about it, but we do know that the family didn't like it.
Well, I haven't seen the movie because you told me to not watch it, even though you had a screener.
Okay,
and
I didn't
waiting.
say don't watch it. I said I would bring the screener. I keep forgetting. I can't find it. I don't know. I threw it after I watched it. I don't know.
Do you really need to see it?
Sure.
Yeah, you should see it. You should have
an opinion about
an
things?
educated opinion. There are many reasons.
Okay, but we could keep going to 100. There's 100 reasons to hate Green Book, legitimately. But there's also 100 reasons to hate Bohemian Rhapsody, which let me remind all of you, won more Oscars than any other movie last night.
Oh my God. It won more than any
Well,
other.
I'm like
It won more than The Favorite. How is that possible?
It won more than Roma. It won more than Green Book. It won more than everything. Bryan Singer's Bohemian Rhapsody won 4 Academy Awards last night.
Well, it was just like even the fact that it won Best Sound Editing.
Oh.
And like, have you heard Black Panther in a 5.1 surround sound theater?
Yeah, I don't know.
In one editing, I think what people think is that, that the editor had to, because the director was fired from the set before the film was over.
So you're not talking about sound editing, you're just talking about
Film editing.
Did
Yeah.
anybody shout out Bryan Singer?
His name was not mentioned last night once.
And you how do you feel about that?
I'm appalled by it. I mean, I feel like people are ignoring what he did. That article that came out in The Atlantic, I believe, while voting was going on. If this, I really do genuinely believe that if Bryan Singer was a heterosexual who had been accused of doing all this to underage girls, Bohemian Rhapsody would have not won any Oscars last night. I think there's absolutely some homophobia in how this has all been handled, and I really am, to my bones, appalled by this movie, how successful it's been, and the fact that, giving it these awards, that's money in Bryan Singer's pocket.
Yeah.
It's
we should
true.
mention that these are allegations. They haven't been proven in court, and he hasn't been charged with
Absolutely.
any criminal acts, but they are allegations that are out there, and this is something that Hollywood is attempting to tackle or ignore, and it seems like last night they were trying to ignore it.
Okay.
Well, there was one good thing that came out of the Bohemian Rhapsody win. What was that?
CanCon. There's like is it Sound Mixer?
I believe it's one of the sound mixers who won. Paul Massey?
Okay, and he's from he's from Toronto.
Yeah.
So
Congrats to him.
congrats to him, because even though we don't like the movie, even though Bryan Singer is Bryan Singer, so many people put their heart and soul into the movie,
It's true.
and we can't discredit it fully.
And to be honest, I watched it at home, but I'm not going to act like I didn't tear up in the last sequence of Live Aid and like that wasn't amazing. And I'm sure if I was sitting in a movie theater watching it with good sound, I'd be like, yeah, that Canadian guy, he deserved to win.
Did the guy who that didn't win for best makeup because the teeth should not.
It wasn't
have won.
nominated. No,
I couldn't get past it.
Vice won.
Vice won.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good for them.
What did you guys think about the fact that there was no host? I kind of loved it.
I was all for it. I mean, it felt breezy.
Yeah.
And I didn't need a host.
I didn't either.
And I don't know if Kevin Hart would have been the part, like a night full of black excellence. Like I
Yeah.
think Kevin Hart might have messed it up. I don't.
Maybe we'll never know. However, I felt like a night of
bang bang. Like
a night of no host was actually. I agree. The pacing was so great. It flowed really well.
more Maya Rudolph.
And then and with Maya, Amy, and Tina, I was good.
Perfect.
I was good. How did you feel about the fact that Julia had to close the show, Romeo? Julia Roberts presented the final award of the night, Best Picture.
Because the thing is, when you have to put Oscars on PVR, you always have to tape the next show, which is like some like local news thing. And I don't like Julia being the last thing before seeing something local. Like she's like she looked amazing.
Really?
Yeah, no, like I don't want her to go, okay, and then that was the Oscars and now to you, Ron. Like I just want her to be on a pedestal. She's like
She looks beautiful.
She has
Beautiful.
the infinity
Stunning.
youth. Okay, so out of everybody, who has the non-aging infinity stone?
There are a few. Angela
Angela
Bassett.
Bassett.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Charlize Theron.
Sam Jackson?
Samuel L. Jackson,
Like,
yeah.
Spike Lee jumped on Sam Jackson and
It
his
was
back
fine.
held
He was
out.
fine.
Yeah, no, good.
Nick Fury, man. Peter, you had an idea for how we should end the show next time because we end.
Oh yeah. I think I'm done. I'm just so over Best Picture,
'Cause they
and
get it
I
wrong.
think that as last night made clear, the award everyone cares about and the most important Oscar is Best Actress. Let's
true.
end with Best Actress
It's true.
every year. We don't even even need a Best Picture anymore. Let's just be all night just actresses.
So Green Book is the worst Best Picture since what was the other one they're talking about?
I don't want to go back to 2005. Paul Haggis's Crash.
Hey, Canadian.
What did it beat again?
Brokeback Mountain.
So CanCon, because Paul Haggis is Canadian, broke.
Ex-Scientologist.
Broke. It won against. It broke.
It broke back.
It broke back the Oscars.
Okay, speaking of CanCon, there was another Canadian who won big last night. Let's hear a little bit from her.
It's our first time too.
Yeah, it's our first time too. Oh my gosh. Thank you to the Academy. Thank you to my fellow nominees. Thank you for supporting shorts. To all of the nerdy girls out there who hide behind their sketchbooks, don't be afraid to tell your stories to the world.
I called it in 2018 that this movie, well, Pixar movies always kind of win Best Short, but like I called it in 2018 that this movie
2018 was just a couple weeks ago.
Yes. So when you're seeing into the future, there's no time isn't linear. So this movie about a mother and a dumpling that comes to life and it representing her son, and this is the Asian Canadian movie that spoke to me the most of any
It was beautiful.
Canadian movie ever, and for it to win Best Short Animated Film made me very happy.
Did you cry in the theater when you saw it?
I cried at home
you saw it, yeah.
because I saw it. No, I cried at the office because it was on YouTube for the week.
Oh yeah,
that's
one of the many times I've been caught crying at the office, but I was weeping in the office. And the grown up bao bun kind of looks like me.
Yeah,
So-
congrats to Domee Shai, man. That's amazing.
it was so
Yo,
nice.
and she's gonna do her own feature. Like this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be the Canadian director to watch in the next couple of years.
Well, speaking of Canadians, our own little award season is just getting started.
Yeah.
And while we know it may not be as much glitz and glam as the Oscars or the Grammys, we've had some really amazing moments at the JUNOs and the CSAs. So right now...
And the Doras and the Genies and the
Geminis.
Geminis. Hi.
And the Gillers.
Gillers.
Shout out to the writers out there.
Yes.
So right now, we are going to count down our top 5 moments, specifically from the JUNOs and the CSAs, the Canadian Screen Awards, because they're coming up. Because we want to prove to you all that Canadian award shows are better than you might realize. You should tune in.
Yes.
So, Romeo, you're going to hit us up with a number 5?
Yeah. At number 5, it was the year that the host didn't win anything. It's
a notorious year.
Notorious.
For in the JUNOs.
At the JUNOs. Listen, Drake is winning lots. Even when he loses, he wins. But this one I felt particularly bad about. But in the JUNOs, the year that he hosted, he did a bunch of sketch stuff, and he's a beast at sketch. Like
he's so good.
Like ESPYs, like just
SNL.
SNL.
Yeah, he's cool. He brings out that old Degrassi, those Degrassi acting chops.
The Degrassi chops. So at number 5, we have Drake hosting at the JUNOs.
I'm here today representing Young Money, which is the record label that I'm a part of. We're called Young Money because, we appeal to a younger demographic, and everyone in the label has a lot of money. So, really, my last album, it did well, but it could have done better, in my opinion. So, for this new one coming out this year, which is called Take Care, I think I've devised a plan. I really feel like I've stumbled upon an untapped gold mine, and instead of Young Money today, it's all about old money. So ladies, if we can, on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Old money, mother.
I love it.
Oh, it's
I thought
so
he
good.
killed it.
He was so good. That was so funny. I'll laugh over that today.
And then you don't win anything. Bye. We'll give it to the weekend. Anyways.
Yeah. I think it went to Michael Bublé, actually.
It did.
Yeah.
Well,
for a
Michael-
Christmas album.
Ew.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Ew. Okay. All right. Congrats to Michael Bublé.
Yeah. Drake, we still love you. Number 4, Peter.
So number 4 is also a Juno host-related moment. In 2004, Alanis Morissette hosted the Juno Awards, and as we may or may not recall, but you should recall, she went on stage in a completely nude suit, like she wasn't actually nude, but it was like a suit where she had fake nipples and fake pubic hair, which was commentary on the fact that she had been censored. Her song "Everything," I believe, they bleeped out a word in America, and also a commentary on what had happened to Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl just a few months before that. I think it was really iconic.
Yeah,
right.
no, it's great. And the suit was kind of iconic and amazing. I'm surprised nobody's made it into a poster or something.
Yeah.
It was great.
Thank you, India.
Peter, you have number 3 as well, too?
Oh, I have number 3 too, and this is like just super awards nerdy, and you guys are just gonna roll your eyes. So I watched the Genies, which were the Canadian Oscars before they merged the Genies and the Geminis.
I wasn't born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I used to watch the Genies as a teenager, and
Every year, of course, you did.
Every year, yeah.
Of course
I'm
you
like
did.
literally the one person who watched the Genies through the 90s. But
Maybe there are a few more.
Shout out to
Sorry.
Genie watchers from the 90s.
Sorry, I don't mean to disrespect the Genies. I'm sure there were
You
dozens
might have
of
been
us.
the only teenager.
Probably, 1996, so I was 12 years old.
Oh, my God.
And where were you living?
Trenton, Ontario, Canada.
Shout out Trenton.
And Crash, David Cronenberg's Crash, the better Crash, was supposed to win Best Picture that night, but it did not. Lily's, which is a super gay Quebec prison drama directed by John Grayson, basically became Canada's Moonlight, becoming the first LGBTQ film to win Best Picture in 1997.
Okay.
Amazing.
So, I mean,
Amazing.
I know nobody cares.
Does that movie hold up? Have you rewatched it?
It's a great
anytime
movie.
recently?
It's an adaptation of a Michel-Marc Boucher play. John Grayson is, very iconic in sort of Canadian queer cinema, but not the kind of this doesn't win Best Picture. It still blows my mind.
So Adam McGowan just had to
It was Adam McGowan's off year. He won the following year for The Sweet Hereafter.
Okay.
Got it.
Sweet.
Okay, I got number 2. So if you guys remember, there was a song called Northern Touch, which was that was the anthem in Canada when I arrived in this country. I didn't know what the Canadian national anthem was. Northern Touch was the anthem. It was this classic hip-hop song, Rock the Nation. It combined MCs from the West Coast and the East Coast, or the Central, and across the country, and it was just a banger. So it was nominated.
Banger is what you said back then, right? Do people say banger?
I don't know if I said banger back then in 1998.
All right.
But it was an amazing song. It was nominated for Best Hip Hop Record of the Year. However, that category was not going to be televised because the Junos have this thing where certain categories don't get televised every single year. They rotate certain categories, like hip hop, R&B, all that kind of stuff. And so the artists behind it, the Rascals, decided, you know what, we're not going to take this disrespect of hip hop culture, and we're going to boycott the Junos for this particular year. So they did not show up.
of the North.
And they let it be known that they were boycotting specifically because they felt like hip-hop always gets disrespected at the Junos and it should be televised. So the following year, it was televised, and the Rascals performed Northern Touch with Cardinal, Choclair, who else? Thrust. Yeah, it was an epic, amazing performance. And then they also reunited last year for the 20-year anniversary.
I know,
which
I was FOMO
amazing.
that I didn't get to see any of it. And maybe next time I try rapping on the mic on this podcast, you should stop faster.
Okay, all right. You got number 1.
Number 1, Romeo.
Number 1. Okay, the only thing about last night's Rami speech.
So
Yeah,
when
Rami.
Rami won at
When
the
Rami,
Oscars
so when Rami won at the Oscars
for Bohemian
for
Rhapsody.
Rami, when he won for the Oscars, the whole. I don't like Bohemian Rhapsody so much, but his speech and shouting out his Egyptian American story, it's the ideal dream for any child of an immigrant to come to a country to prove their parents wrong that you picked the arts, basically. But it's like that. Like for me, that was the best part of his speech.
It was lovely.
But the year prior at the CSAs, Paul Sun
A few
Young
years
Lee.
prior.
Was it 2 years?
I think so. Yeah, because he's won a few times, but this was the first time he won.
So the first time Paul Lee won for his role as Appa in Kim's Convenience, he had one of the most iconic Canadian award speeches I think I've ever seen.
I have to say that I am an immigrant and I am a Canadian. And in this weird sort of political time, the portrayal of an immigrant family on a national broadcaster doing what all families do, which is try to make a life for themselves through the laughter, through the tears, through the fights, through the love, is so much more important now than ever before.
That I think that was me. I was definitely crying.
What was it like being in that space when that moment happened.
It was beautiful. It really did feel historic and kind of game-changing. And I just remember looking around and seeing so many people having that, like, you know, goofy, like, glowy-eyed look on their face or actually wiping tears. It was such a moving moment, and it just really felt like something's happening in Canada, I hope, you know, that is shifting and that makes this the norm and that makes this okay and not necessarily a historic moment. But in that particular instance, it really was, and you felt it in your bones. And I still have goosebumps thinking about it. It was really beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really, really lovely. So that's our countdown of top 5 moments. I think it's pretty good.
I think it's a really good countdown.
I think it was really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now we're going to go into our next segment.
So speaking of being excited about things, here we go. Next segment.
I'm so excited! I'm so scared!
That is hilarious that's our sound up. Okay.
Shout out to Saved by the Bell.
Shout out to
Jesse.
Jesse
Okay.
Spano.
Okay,
Right.
so I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
Right now, we're going to tell you about the things that have us so excited we're scared that they will disappoint us. Peter, what's on deck for you this week?
Oh, so this Friday, the 11th season of RuPaul's Drag Race premieres. We got 1 week off in between All Stars and this.
I think they just wrapped and they're starting again.
So I'm so excited for Drag Race. I
all year long Drag Race.
All year long. I can take it. I mean, the straights have sports.
Straights have sports.
This is ours. But I'm just, and also we have a Canadian drag queen for the first time. Brooklyn Heights is competing in
Canadian with an American name. Anyways, that's so Canadian.
Exactly. But I'm just a little concerned because they're also doing a BBC British version of Drag Race that I'm assuming is going to air right after this. It's just, is it too much? Is it gonna jump the shark, and then are we gonna lose what I love this weekly sort of event? But is there so much as too much Drag Race? I don't know.
Well, if you like drag and you're maybe a little tired of Drag Race, there's another drag show that is Canadian that is out, right?
Yeah, I might have a bit of a bias.
Mm.
So CBC Arts, including myself, we just produced Canada's a Drag, which is a documentary series. So I am
That
a
can
little
be found on CBC Gem.
CBC Gem, cbc.ca/Canada's Drag. I'm a little dragged out, basically, is all I'm saying. And
you are not. You will never be. You're just nervous that you might get to be.
I'm so excited, so scared that I might get dragged out.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. For me, I am so excited because this evening I am interviewing Angie Thomas, who is the amazing author of The Hate U Give, which was a New York Times bestseller. I think it still is.
And I think
I think
that needed some Oscar love last night. I kept saying that.
Yeah, I would not have been mad at that. I thought the adaptation was really great. Angie Thomas, she wrote this incredible book that really captured so many folks. It's in the YA genre, so for young adults, but the audience definitely transcended that. And she's now just released her new book on the come up, which actually takes place, I know you read The Hate U Give, Romeo. It takes place in the same neighborhood of Garden Heights, so it's like she's creating this universe within this neighborhood.
It could be like an extended cinematic universe.
And it's now her literary universe of Garden Heights. And then she already has her third book, apparently, is like coming out, and it's also going to be in Garden Heights.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I read on the come up, and I really liked it as well, too. It's like the story of hip hop and this young girl kind of discovering herself as an MC, and it's all framed through Commons. I used to love her, the epic hip hop song. But I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my, she's producing work so quickly. The Hate U Give came out last year.
Yeah, it was
and the movie came out right after, and now she's producing this book. She's just published this book, and then she has a third book on the way. I really hope that she's able to keep up and her imagination isn't squeezed of all of its, goodness and all of its magic. So I'm so excited for the fact that she is creating all of these really great YA stories that feature young Black girls at their center and tell these stories that feel for me very familiar. But I'm scared that, she's going to be asked to do too much too soon.
I don't think so. If people like Stephen King, Shonda Rhimes,
That's
there are
true.
other prolific people
true.
in this
I
world.
just feel like novels are, Stephen King, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
He writes like one a year.
One a
month.
day. Like he wakes up,
Are they all good though?
Oh.
Why
I don't know.
Whoa,
I don't-
whoa! I'm so
I don't-
scared of your
No,
shade.
no.
I'm like
I take that
scared
back.
of your shade.
I'm sorry.
It was all
Just-
about the tone. It
I
was
was
like,
just
Oh my
asking.
God! Holy, okay.
I haven't
What's a
been keeping
fair
up with
He
question?
did not
King.
write Green Book. Okay, so
he wrote The
did.
Green Mile.
the Green Mile. So for me, I don't know if you guys saw the thing I shared, but there's like, you know, I'm a sucker for these talent competitions, and right now there's one called The World's Best, and it's like the world's best, like the world's best jugglers, the world's best things. But there's like
How do you find these shows?
because they're
I never hear about
popular.
them until
They're-
you tell me about them.
Because they're popular.
Okay,
Like
all right.
World of
I'll
Dance,
believe you.
American I like
Yeah,
The
yeah, of course,
Voice.
sure. Yes,
they're-
yeah, I've heard
they're
of
more
those ones.
popular than, you know, these artsy movies that we talk about. Anyways, World's Best, there is a group of young Filipino boys called TNT Boys. And they're like these 3 little kids, maybe, you know, under 12, and they could all sing like Jennifer Hudson, Whitney Houston, and they're so cute and they're so brown. And every time they perform, and they're singing riffs and runs and harmonies, and every time they perform, they blow people away. So I'm so excited that they've gone viral. They're the first act to have gone viral.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. And I think
And
you were
they're-
crying. Were you crying when they met
It was a little
Ariana
dusty in the office.
Grande?
It was a little dusty. Yeah, no, they're so cute.
Is this a dream? The one when you saw Ariana Grande. Is this a dream?
My favorite part, though, was that Ariana stopped singing because she realized, oh, wait, I don't think I can keep up.
Oh, no,
Or, like,
like,
I don't even think I
stay
can
in
match.
your
Yeah, like, they
lane.
were so good. She was like, I'm just gonna, you know, do a little 1-2 step and
Yeah.
let you guys take this. Yeah.
I'm a bit scared because they are known as killing the covers. And I think, like you know, I keep making this point that Filipinos are the gold standard in karaoke singing. Yeah, But I just feel like what I'm scared about is that we'll always be a little bit of a copycat culture and not sing our own songs.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's real.
That's real. All right. Hey. So,
We can't leave you without giving you a hookup on art that you can check out from across the country. So this is our 60-second Canada-wide art guide. Romeo, you start us off.
So in the territories, Peggy Baker, a modern dancer, choreographer, and member of the Order of Canada, brings her production of Who We Are in the Dark to the Yukon Arts Center on March 13th. A behind-the-scenes doc of this project will be airing on our upcoming episode of Exhibitionists.
We're not doing this in 60 seconds. In Vancouver, the 18th Talking Stick Festival is an Indigenous arts festival that will run until March 2nd, featuring theatrical performances, music concerts, masterclasses, workshops, film screenings, artist talks, and more.
Christian Dior is heading to the prairies in Calgary. The Glenbow is hosting the city's first major international fashion exhibition. From daytime to evening wear, Christian Dior explores the groundbreaking work of one of fashion's greatest couture houses.
And for all my people in Saskatoon, there's this cool interactive exhibit that allows you to play ping pong in a gallery. It's by, of course, you guys give me this one. It's by Rikrit Tirvanja, the super boundary-pushing artist who turned museum experiences into art. It's all going down at the Rami Modern.
In the Peg, Winnipeg, the 80s image at the WAG explores painting and still photography from throughout the decade. You'll see works by Eleanor Bond, Lynn Cohen, Stan Douglas, General Idea, Wanda Coop, and Ken Lum.
In Montreal, Wiggle is turning 25 years old. What is Wiggle, you ask? Well, it was conceived by the House of Venus in 1994 and born as an annual runway and performance event where artists and designers create wearable art. The collective was hugely inspired by designers like Jean-Paul Gaultier, the Warhol Factory, and the drag, Vogue, and Club Kid scenes in New York. It is celebrating its 25th anniversary with a special exhibit running until April 6th.
And for all my people in Newfoundland, I was born in Newfoundland. FYI. The White Rooster Theatre presents Remnants by Jenna Turk from March 7th to 10th in LSPU Hall. It's a play inspired by the 1911 Triangle Factory fire in New York that took the lives of 146 garment workers. Most of them were young immigrant women, and carries the audience through the day's events leading up to the city's deadliest workplace disaster prior to 9/11.
Ooh, okay. There is a ton for everyone to do in art and culture across the country, but that is it from us. Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about?
What?
Billy Porter's outfit.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. It was like the outfit of the night. maybe only matched by Melissa McCarthy and Brian Tyree Henry.
Their segment was so good.
If you guys didn't see it, just Google it. It's amazing. It was so great. That's it from us. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of State of the Arts.